Esta conferencia de Masar Badil ha empezado desde el lunes y termina el 7 de octubre con la conmemoración del 7 de octubre, cuando la resistencia palestina en la Franja de Gaza ha roto el asedio y ha tambaleado al ejército de ocupación sionista. Esta conferencia la venimos celebrando desde hace 4 años. La primera empezó en el 2021, precisamente en Madrid, porque era una conferencia alternativa a la conferencia, aquella conferencia que llamaron Conferencia de Paz en el 91 y que ha llamado el camino para los acuerdos de Oslo y la normalización, que ha hecho mucho daño a la causa de nuestro pueblo, que ha cedido en muchos de nuestros derechos, que ha marginado la voz de la diáspora palestina, de la juventud y de la mujer. Y en Masar Badil hemos pensado que era hora ya de que la diáspora palestina, que formamos parte de la lucha y de la resistencia y de la defensa de nuestra causa, tengamos voz y tengamos acciones y que hagamos algo y que cumplamos con una responsabilidad que nos toca a las que estamos fuera, ya que nuestro pueblo lleva muchos años haciendo todo lo que puede. Por eso es importante que desde fuera la diáspora palestina actúe y tome su papel también. Después de la conferencia de Madrid en el 2021, cuando fundamos el movimiento Masar Badil o Ruta Alternativa Revolucionaria Palestina, hemos celebrado los siguientes encuentros en Bruselas en el 2022 y en el 2023, y este año volvemos otra vez a Madrid. Esta conferencia, que ha empezado con talleres internos de trabajo de todos los militantes de Masar Badil, que han ido creciendo a lo largo de estos 4 años, con la cual ha venido gente de distintos lugares del mundo, de Norteamérica, de Sudamérica, de distintos países europeos. Nos hemos juntado para valorar el trabajo que hemos estado haciendo todo este año, pero sobre todo un año lleno de actividades, de acción, un año que nos ha marcado nuestra resistencia, porque cuando en el último, era en el 2023, ya había empezado la batalla de Diluvio y de Al-Aqsa, y nosotras como palestinas y palestinos y como internacionalistas creemos que es necesario acompañar lo que está sucediendo, lo que está haciendo la resistencia palestina, libanesa, yemení, iraquí y siria. Es importante que desde fuera también acompañemos lo que están haciendo. Se ha hecho una valoración de todo lo que hemos estado haciendo y también se ha aprovechado para trabajar juntas, para conocernos, para reforzarnos, para contarnos los desafíos que estamos enfrentando en todos los países donde estamos, sobre todo que la represión hacia las personas que defienden la causa palestina también ha crecido mucho este año. Hemos planeado también cómo vamos a seguir en el curso que viene hasta la siguiente conferencia, y es así como lo hacemos todos los años. Hoy estamos con representantes de las organizaciones que forman parte de Masar Badil, que somos Al-Karama, Al-Yudur, que nos alcanzará más tarde, Samidun y también Masar Badil. Esta silla vacía es de nuestro camarada Khaled Barakat, que no ha podido estar con nosotras hoy también por la represión que impone Occidente, que sigue las órdenes del sionismo y del imperialismo internacional, que no le permiten la entrada en la zona europea. Nos va a acompañar por Zoom a través del Zoom. Lo vamos a dejar para el final y vamos a comenzar con nuestra compañera Sausan del Movimiento de Mujeres Palestinas Al-Karama.
Buenas tardes, compañeros y compañeras, camaradas. Muchas gracias a todos y a todas por vuestra asistencia en esta conferencia, que para nosotros desde el movimiento es muy importante, porque llevamos mucho tiempo planeándola, ¿verdad? Y bueno, por mi parte, por la parte que me toca, voy a hablar un poco de qué manera el movimiento Ruta Alternativa, el movimiento Masar Badil, de qué forma o cuánta importancia tiene, mejor dicho, la presencia de las mujeres palestinas en este movimiento y en la lucha en general por la liberación de Palestina. Yo formo parte de Al-Karama, como bien ha dicho Jaldía. Al-Karama, para quien no lo conozca, es un movimiento de mujeres palestinas en la diáspora nacimos en esta misma ciudad en el año 2017 y somos miembros fundadores del movimiento Masar Badil porque consideramos que las mujeres palestinas tenemos que tener un papel y una voz muy importante dentro del movimiento de liberación nacional en la diáspora. El movimiento tiene como pilar fundamental precisamente resaltar el papel de las mujeres palestinas fuera de la Palestina histórica e involucrarlas en la lucha. Me gustaría hacer aquí un pequeño inciso porque este papel, este rol de las mujeres palestinas es un rol que ha estado siempre muy presente a lo largo de las décadas de colonización sionista. Es un papel que ha tenido mucha significancia en esta lucha, pero que sin embargo, y haciendo un poco alusión a lo que comentaba Jaldía de los acuerdos de Oslo, los acuerdos de Oslo que supusieron que supusieron la creación de la Autoridad Nacional Palestina y por ende el fin de la soberanía palestina desde el punto de vista institucional y gubernamental. Lo que pretendo decir, disculpadme, se me ha ido un poco la idea que quería transmitir, es los acuerdos de Oslo supusieron, entre muchas otras cosas que socavaron los intentos de soberanía del pueblo palestino, una onegeización de muchas de las organizaciones palestinas que ya existían hasta ese momento bajo el paraguas de la OLP. Muchas de estas organizaciones tenían forma o bien de partidos políticos o bien organizaciones de base, ¿no? Los acuerdos de Oslo, una de las cosas que llevó a cabo, que supusieron esta socavación de la soberanía nacional palestina, fue precisamente ese proceso de onegeización que tuvo especial hincapié en los movimientos de mujeres palestinas. Quiero decir con esto que uno de los pilares por los cuales luchamos las mujeres palestinas dentro de Al-Karama y dentro de Masar Badil es romper con esto, es romper con esta dinámica, no porque estemos en contra de las ONG porque sí, sino porque este proceso de onegeización supuso que estos movimientos, o muchos de los movimientos de mujeres, no vamos a decir todos, muchos de estos movimientos de mujeres se profesionalizaran, sucumbieran a los condicionamientos que imponían desde aquellos países, instituciones u organizaciones que financiaban a las ONG, ¿no? Por tanto, supuso que se sometieran muchas de estas organizaciones a los condicionamientos financieros de Occidente, ¿no? Entonces, esto finalmente lo que vino a significar fue que muchas organizaciones de mujeres se vieron desactivadas, ¿no? Esto afortunadamente está cambiando, ya cuando la sociedad palestina y el mundo árabe en general ha visto que realmente este proceso de onegeización, por supuesto, y todo el proceso en sí de los fracasados acuerdos de Oslo fueron absolutamente fallidos, fueron absolutamente tremendos para la socavación de la soberanía palestina y lo que pretendemos nosotros ahora es romper con eso, ¿no? y dar apoyo, no solamente tener significancia como movimiento de mujeres palestinas en la diáspora como Al-Karama, sino además tejer lazos con esas otras organizaciones de mujeres que están desde entonces emergiendo con la lucha feminista contra la colonización de Palestina. Para no extender mucho más con esto, Masar Badil, como decía, acoge resaltar este papel de las mujeres palestinas en la diáspora, involucrando a las mujeres en la contribución de la liberación del pueblo palestino a través de la acción social, política y cultural. También pretendemos desde el movimiento Masar Badil reclamar un lugar de enunciación para todas las mujeres palestinas que nos encontramos en la diáspora fuera de la Palestina histórica. Por supuesto, promover actividades para difundir la importancia del rol de las mujeres en la causa palestina contra el colonialismo y contra la ocupación y visibilizar las diferentes capas de opresión y los abusos que sufren las mujeres palestinas como consecuencia de la colonización sionista. Con especial interés, por supuesto, en las presas palestinas, en todas las mujeres que sufren todo tipo de opresión, tanto en Gaza como en Cisjordania, como en los territorios ocupados del 48, y las mujeres refugiadas a todo lo largo y ancho del planeta, ¿no? Y por supuesto, y como no, trabajar contra los estereotipos contra los estereotipos sobre las mujeres palestinas, especialmente los estereotipos de género islamófobo y la arabofobia. Ya para finalizar con mi intervención y dar paso a mis compañeros, me gustaría resaltar que, bueno, por supuesto todos y todas sabemos que la colonización de Palestina tiene lugar desde hace muchas décadas, ¿no? Incluso podemos decir que el pueblo palestino lleva sufriendo los ataques sionistas desde incluso mucho antes de la creación del Estado de Israel en el año 1948. Y la mujer siempre ha sido un objetivo prioritario para las fuerzas sionistas y para el ejército de ocupación sionista. ¿Por qué? Porque el ejército sionista y las diferentes instituciones sionistas son perfectamente conscientes de que las mujeres son un pilar fundamental dentro de la lucha por los valores identitarios, los valores culturales y por la liberación nacional de Palestina. Es por esto que las mujeres son especialmente violentadas dentro de las cárceles, recibiendo abusos de toda clase, sexuales y no sexuales. Y desde el 7 de octubre esta situación, si ya era brutal antes del 7 de octubre, después del 7 de octubre esta situación es especialmente grave para todas nuestras hermanas en Palestina, y es un intento de socavar la resistencia feminista por parte del sionismo, ¿no? Arrebatar el liderazgo de las mujeres palestinas y desmoralizarlas para que no sigan luchando, ¿no? Entonces, sabemos que no lo van a conseguir, porque si no lo han conseguido en 76 años, tampoco lo van a conseguir ahora. Vamos a seguir luchando para reivindicar este papel de las mujeres, para seguir tejiendo redes de resistencia. Es por ello que también os invito a que mañana acudáis a nuestro encuentro, a nuestro congreso de mujeres en la lucha anticolonial y antiimperialista, que tiene lugar aquí mismo, en este mismo espacio, desde las 9:30 de la mañana. Y poco más que decir, ya después, si hay tiempo para el debate, pues seguimos hablando. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, somos un movimiento palestino, árabe e internacionalista. Y aquí vamos a dar paso a nuestro compañero Tomás, internacionalista desde el principio, desde la fundación del movimiento. También forma parte de la red de defensa de presas y presos Sándor. Gracias, Tomás.
Thank you. This is working. Can you hear me? Thank you so much, comrades, for joining us here today, and thank you, of course, for Masar Badil and all the organizations organizing this. But I wanted to start by also saluting everyone who is here with us today. I am sure you have all been in the streets, in the universities, protesting, doing direct actions, doing graffiti actions, to stop the genocide that's happening in Palestine. And I just want to recognize that in this moment also we need sometimes to come together in these moments to share stories and experiences. And I just want to recognize that we are all here as participants in the struggle for the liberation of Palestine. And this is one of the core values, I think, that we as the Masar Badil and the Samilun, we want to create, that we are a Palestinian, Arab and internationalist movement where we all can participate in equality in the liberation struggle for Palestine, but at the same time also we recognize that this liberation struggle is taking place not only inside Palestine but also outside of Palestine, because we know that the colonization of Palestine, it didn't start inside Palestine, but it started from Europe, and it continues to be funded, to be armed from Europe, from the United States, and therefore we see it as a hugely important fact that we really are as one force fighting for the liberation of Palestine. We do not allow that there will be any division created between the Palestinian people and the Arab people, between the Palestinian people and the people of the world, the workers, the women, the LGBTQ community, the migrant community, the refugee community. we believe that all these people who have been coming together since 7 October, because haven't we seen that since 7 October in Spain or in the Netherlands or in any country where we are coming from, that is all the social movements which existed before 7 October have really put at the forefront to struggle for Palestine. And that Palestine is a symbol and at the forefront of all the struggles that we are a part of. Maybe we didn't become organized and politicized through Palestine, but we recognize that at this moment, Palestine is one of the major confrontations happening in the world against this big system of imperialism, of capitalism, of racism, and it is also through the liberation of Palestine that we will see that we can achieve steps towards achieving justice on all these different fronts. And I think this is one of the important realizations that a lot of people have had since the 7th of October, and that has really also strengthened the movement for Palestine. I want to speak a little bit about the Samidun organization as well. I'm from Samidun in the Netherlands. There's comrades from Samidun in Spain here, Samidun Belgium, and many of the other chapters that we have. And we are a Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network. This means that, of course, our focus is on the liberation and supporting and being a megaphone for the struggle of the Palestinian prisoners. But at the same time that we follow in the footsteps of the prisoners in making the struggle bigger than only the prisons. Because the prisoners themselves are not only struggling for their own liberation from behind bars, but they are struggling for the liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea. They are struggling for their right of return to the original homes of which they or their families were kicked out and ethnically cleansed from in 1948 or after. And they are defending the right to resistance even in the Zionist prisons in which they are undergoing torture on a daily basis. As was said before, we believe as Samidun that we have to create this Palestinian, Arab and internationalist unity. And to speak a little bit from the internationalist perspective of this, I think it's important always to recognize that the internationalist support for Palestine, it's not something new. And it has been there since the colonization and since the resistance of the Palestinian people themselves started. We have to always remember that the internationalist movement for Palestine was very strong in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. That there are European martyrs who paid blood for Palestine. That there are today as well in many of our countries student prisoners, or there have been prisoners of our countries in the past who have been imprisoned because they participate in the Palestinian liberation struggle. It is not a new phenomenon, but at the same time we have to recognize that there was kind of, how do you say, with the Oslo Accords a stop, for the whole Palestinian liberation movement, but also for the internationalist movement with Palestine. And that in the last 10, 20 years, this has been rebuilt. And I think it's very significant to see that since the 7th of October, we have seen the largest mass mobilizations for Palestine in the history. I think it's also very significant to mention that kind of just like in the 60s and the 70s, just like then the Palestinian armed resistance was the primary factor in the liberation struggle, now this is being recognized also by the internationalist movement. I always like to speak about the example when we established in the Netherlands student organization 10 years ago. We had to really fight inside the mass mobilizations to have the boycott slogan as one of the main slogans. And after 7th of October, the boycott was the minimum. If you don't accept the boycott at this moment, you are very, very marginalized and outside of the movement. But we have to see it as a positive development that now the political discussions taking place in our movement are maybe very intense, and there might be serious struggle about the political line of the collectives, of the student encampments, of the movement, but it is at a very high political level. And it is important to recognize this development, which is very much in line and is caused by the developments on the ground inside Palestine and inside the region around Palestine. I think also in this respect it's very important for us to have a very strong criticism of the, let's say, traditional left and their positions of the past 10, 20, 30 years on Palestine, accepting the Oslo Accords, accepting a racist two-state solution for the Palestinian people, accepting that it should not be the Palestinian resistance but the Palestinian Authority which has the right to decide for the Palestinian people, a Palestinian Authority which collaborates with Zionism and which in that sense is the same as many of the governments of the countries we are from. Our governments collaborate with Israel and send them money and weapons, and the Palestinian Authority is funded by the same governments that fund and arm the Israeli occupation. So for us also, it's important, I think, to have a criticism of some of the traditional parties, or even sometimes the NGOs that was spoken about before, this NGOization of the resistance, that we don't believe in this, and actually if we are inside the mass mobilizations with the people and in the popular neighborhoods, these kind of politics are not what the people believe in. And many of the people find it very, very normal that after 76 years, the Palestinian people defend themselves, or at least have the right to defend themselves by any means necessary. And it is very normal, just like it was for the Vietnamese people and the Indonesian people and the Mexican people and any colonized people around the world, to defend themselves against tanks and bombs with weapons. And this is not something extreme, this is not terrorism, this is a very normal human response to violent oppression and military occupation. I think it's very important that we have this criticism, because this allows us to also rebuild the international strong solidarity movement. And even it's important, I think, for this international movement that we also rebuild in a serious way our connection with the Palestinian resistance. It is not normal that when we are inside the Palestine Solidarity Organization that we don't have real contact with the Palestinian resistance. And of course we know that it is criminalized by the European Union by putting the Palestinian resistance on the terrorist list. And that this creates this dynamic of fear, and that sometimes we are, or comrades of us, or people in the movement get afraid to establish these connections. But at the same time, it is very possible and very normal to travel to countries such as Lebanon or where the resistance is active and they exist. And you can meet with them, and you can talk with them, you can have a political discussion with them, and not even only the Palestinian resistance organizations, but the Palestinian cultural organizations inside the Palestinian camps in Lebanon. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was very normal for European activists to travel to Lebanon to work for half a year, 1 year, as a doctor, as a volunteer, in the community centers, in the hospitals, inside the refugee camps in Lebanon or in the region or in Palestine itself. And I think this is kind of also the culture that we need to cultivate, and we need to put time and effort in to rebuild this. But also I can assure you that this is very much appreciated by the people in the camps, because for the past 20, 30 years they have been dealing with these NGOs, with the embassies. So when you come there as a solidarity delegation, for example, at the beginning they might think like, is this another NGO that is trying to fund us and influence us and change our politics? But if you have a conversation of more than half an hour, you will really establish a normal human political relationship with each other, on which you can build struggle, and which will create, just like in the 60s and 70s, we had this culture of revolution around the world. We should see ourselves as being a small part, maybe. We don't have to maybe overestimate ourselves, but also not underestimate ourselves. We can be part of recreating this culture of a revolutionary alternative that is active on an international basis to change the world and to fight against this imperialist system that we are fighting against. And I just would like to end by saying that when we are going on this path and when we are rebuilding these relationships, yes, we are first and foremost doing this to help and to be part of the liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea. But as a Dutch activist, for me, this is also part of liberating and changing the Dutch society in which there exists exploitation and oppression, and the experiences and the connections we are building in this movement, the Palestinian movement, we take back to the Netherlands, and we build a movement in the Netherlands that consists of the Palestinian community, of the Dutch student community, of the working class, of the migrant community, etc., to change the Dutch system which is funding the ethnic cleansing and colonization and genocide in Palestine. We have to change also our societies. And this is kind of the dialectical relationship between both supporting the Palestinian revolution, but at the same time the Palestinian revolution supporting us in the liberation. We are not only giving solidarity to the so-called poor Palestinian people. They are very capable of building a strong liberation movement, which we saw being victorious on the 7th of October. And we also should take this inspiration to build our own liberation movements in our own countries to change, yes, in Palestine and get rid of the Zionist colonization and liberate Palestine, but also get rid of the capitalist imperialist governments in our own countries and to create a world in which we can all ultimately live in freedom and equality and democracy and justice. Thank you.
Del movimiento de mujeres palestinas Al-Karama y también de Masar Badil y de Venezuela, América Latina. Gracias, Suru.
Gracias a ti. Gracias, muy buenas tardes. Gracias a todos por estar acá, reunidos, compañeros, compañeras, en este evento tan importante, ¿no? Justamente además en estos tiempos históricos que estamos viviendo, definitivamente, y que están marcando la historia. Bueno, gran parte de ese sentir, ¿no?, ha recogido Tomás, creo que en su discurso. Y yo quería comenzar quizás, no sé si hacer la pregunta, ¿no?, pero todos, ¿no?, o quienes realmente no nos hemos sentido durante este año tan duro, este año de genocidio, quienes no nos hemos sentido dolidos, quienes no nos hemos sentido heridos, quienes realmente no nos hemos sentido frustrados, impotentes, indignados y muchas veces con ganas de no hacer nada ante, lamentablemente, la impunidad de la que ha gozado durante tantas décadas el régimen sionista de Israel. Pues creo que la respuesta es automática y creo que todos nos hemos sentido de esta forma. Hoy mi discurso quisiera centrarlo, parte de ello es justamente en eso, porque yo no soy la excepción. De hecho, los primeros meses de este genocidio pues fueron muy duros para mí, psicológicamente, físicamente, me he visto muy afectada por ello y sé que muchísima parte de la población mundial ha sido afectada, no solamente yo por ser palestina, por ser mis padres palestinos, porque además particularmente mi madre estaba en Palestina en ese momento, mi abuelo había recién fallecido y antes de cumplir el mes de fallecido, pues había iniciado este genocidio y ella ya, pues bueno, ya sabrán, ¿no? Cualquier vínculo, igualmente tengo toda mi familia materna allá en Palestina, indistintamente de que no tengamos familia, algo bonito y que rescato también es que no es solamente los palestinos, hemos sentido este dolor, hemos llorado, nos hemos deprimido y hemos sufrido infinidad pues, de heridas, ¿no? Por la gravedad y el impacto de la maldad, ¿no? De la maldad que hoy, digamos, no sé si sean las mejores palabras, ¿no? Pero que hoy podemos observar y que lamentablemente hemos presenciado durante un año en vivo un genocidio que ha sido transmitido en vivo y directo prácticamente y que además de eso está siendo contado por sus propias víctimas y son ellas mismas quienes se graban con sus móviles, con sus teléfonos y han pedido al mundo a gritos y de todas las formas y han visibilizado el horror de la representación de un régimen criminal que no debería existir en el mundo y que no debe existir simplemente, y con esto, ojo, ¿no? Para aquellos que les gusta malinterpretar las palabras, ¿no? O decir que se hace apología del terrorismo, es porque sencillamente no puede estar el mal sobre el bien. Y tenemos que decidir definitivamente la humanidad el camino que vamos a recorrer. ¿Cuál es el camino que queremos? Y creo que un régimen sionista y esta ideología sionista que únicamente puede ser comparada, ¿no? Según lo que hemos conocido a través de la historia, que es el nazismo, el sionismo, incluso algunos lo llaman el nazi-sionismo, ha superado incluso en creces aquellos testimonios de los sobrevivientes del genocidio nazi, que, ojo, también no fueron únicamente los judíos quienes fueron víctimas de él. Ok, con esto mi mensaje es que a pesar del dolor, a pesar de las heridas, a pesar del horror que estamos viendo y el dolor, tenemos que seguir. Tenemos que seguir y no nos podemos desalentar ante esta maldad que busca justamente eso, imponerse, y uno de los objetivos justamente del régimen sionista de Israel ha sido eso. Ha sido la guerra psicológica, ha sido la guerra moral, ha sido pues aparte de toda la deshumanización que a lo largo de muchas décadas ha generado contra y hacia el pueblo palestino, es justamente sentirnos impotentes, sentirnos incapaces y sentirnos como mínimos, ¿no? Ante la barbarie que ellos cometen y decir, bueno, lo más fácil es rendirnos. Lo más fácil es, pues bueno, nada, permanecer indiferentes porque pareciera que ante tanta maldad no pudiéramos cambiar esto. Y no, es importante seguir porque únicamente juntos, acompañados, como pueblos del mundo, podemos justamente combatir al opresor, porque la humanidad definitivamente se tiene que imponer ante ello. Esto para iniciar. Quisiera también, parte de mis planteamientos, bueno, hablar por supuesto de América Latina y del rol importante de América Latina ante la situación que se vive y durante todos los años pues, de colonización en Palestina. Bueno, particularmente de donde vengo, creo que Venezuela pues, ha sido noticia justamente durante muchos años, particularmente quizás este año por el tema político interno, entre otros, parte de hecho de lo que ha sido la guerra imperialista justamente contra aquellos pueblos que se levantan, pues ya sabemos el rol importante que jugó el presidente Hugo Chávez Frías, quien lamentablemente no está físicamente en estos tiempos históricos que se están viviendo, pero que sin lugar a dudas él jugó un rol muy importante en la postura firme que se tiene, de hecho, en América Latina y de muchos líderes que antes no se atrevían a levantar sus voces a favor de la justa causa del pueblo palestino. Bueno, así que el tema de romper relaciones, que ha sido un tema que sé muy bien, lo han intentado mucho desde Europa, particularmente desde acá, desde España también, y que bueno, lamentablemente no se ha logrado. Creo que es uno de los de los objetivos a seguir, a continuar para lograr. Pues no ha sido nada más Venezuela, pues un ejemplo de la ruptura de relaciones. Desde el gobierno del presidente Hugo Chávez se rompieron relaciones. En Venezuela no hay embajada de Israel, por lo tanto es algo que es posible. Actualmente el gobierno colombiano, además, la postura creo que muy parecida a la de Hugo Chávez la está teniendo actualmente el presidente Gustavo Petro en Colombia, quien ha roto relaciones, quien además ha cortado la exportación de carbón a el régimen sionista de Israel. Bueno, Cuba tampoco tiene relaciones con Israel, por supuesto, y bueno, hay un avance allí importante. Ahora, también desde América Latina, desde Sudamérica, particularmente la diáspora, ¿no? Las voces de la diáspora palestina están concentradas en todos los países latinoamericanos. Realmente, normalmente son la segunda, tercera generación, incluso cuarta generación ya hay en Latinoamérica, pero quizás, no sé si todos lo saben, pero luego de Medio Oriente la comunidad palestina más grande del mundo se concentra en Chile. Y bueno, allí en Chile pues hemos visto el gran trabajo que, a pesar de todos los desafíos, de todas las dificultades, han logrado hacer estos compañeros. De hecho, existe el equipo palestino, el Tino, de fútbol, que es muy famoso. Creo que ayer vi a alguien con una camiseta del Tino, creo que era Tino, no sé, no recuerdo si tenía una camiseta del Chile, del equipo palestino de Chile. Y bueno, pues justamente parte de eso forma parte, esos logros forman parte de la resistencia, ¿no? Porque la resistencia está, pues la podemos descifrar, ¿no? Clasificar de muchas formas, pero esa es parte de la resistencia. De hecho, en Chile han hablado de este equipo palestino, de cómo existe incluso desde antes de que se creara la entidad sionista en la Palestina histórica. Pero bien, no me quiero extender mucho en esto porque bueno, luego cuando agarro confianza que hablo mucho. Bueno, particularmente la diáspora en Palestina, en Latinoamérica, desde el Masar Badil se ha buscado vincular, ¿no? Porque es importante las conexiones que logremos entre todas las diásporas, y lamentablemente el idioma normalmente siempre nos da como de barrera para ello. Desde el Masar Badil, la ruta alternativa, se han elevado las voces, se les ha dado espacio a las voces de la resistencia dentro de Palestina, pero también se ha interconectado, cosa que creo que nunca antes se había realizado en ningún espacio, con todos los países hispanohablantes, ¿no? Particularmente en Sudamérica y bueno, también en España han podido escuchar lo que son las voces de la resistencia, han podido escuchar también los planteamientos del Masar Badil, y desde esas plataformas, así sea online, hemos podido vincularnos y hemos podido interconectar así con esa diáspora. Esa es parte del trabajo, y es un trabajo importante lo que estamos realizando. Tomás lo mencionaba un poco, Jaldía también hablaba. Después de Oslo han pasado pues más de 30 años lamentablemente de acuerdos y de tratados que han sido totalmente ineficaces, ineficientes, y que han hecho además lamentablemente un gran daño al pueblo palestino. Por ello, luego de esa etapa oscura, estamos viviendo una etapa que yo estoy convencida que es una etapa de luz a pesar de toda la oscuridad, y que tenemos que, bueno, por supuesto tener paciencia, pero sobre todo ser perseverantes, organizados y seguir vinculándonos para que realmente podamos tener buenos resultados. Pues también esto ya lo hablaba un poco, que la normalización del régimen con el régimen israelí es algo pues totalmente inaudito, yo lo diría de esta manera, pues normalizar a una entidad, un régimen colonial, ocupante, de apartheid, que oprime, que humilla, que comete masacres, que viola todos los derechos humanos, y que además viola toda la legislación internacional desde su constitución, es algo bárbaro y además es hipócrita que desde Europa, desde los Estados Unidos y desde la comunidad internacional se siga silenciando, se le siga otorgando impunidad a este régimen tan macabro que además cada día se le cae la cabeza. Pues bien, lo comentaba, ya no nos desanimemos, todos formamos parte de esta lucha. Tenemos que seguir, por supuesto, preparándonos desde todos los ámbitos porque hemos visto que el horror de Israel no tiene límites, el horror de este régimen cada día nos sorprende, particularmente a mí, definitivamente, con toda la historia, ¿no? que escuché de pequeña, de mis abuelos, con todas las historias de mi madre, por ejemplo, que es de Vista, un pueblo que está basado en 1948 por el régimen sionista de Israel, y todas esas historias tristes que algunos cuentan, pero que otros incluso prefieren no contar por el dolor que significa y el dolor que se mantiene aún incluso dentro de sus mentes, ¿no? Y de su alma. Se me fue un poco la idea de lo que quería concluir, pero bueno, que a pesar de todo ello, nunca, si ya recordé, nunca pensé vivir un momento como este. Honestamente, nunca pensé vivir y ver semejantes imágenes, llorar, ¿no? Comunicarme incluso con personas desde la misma franja de Gaza y de toda Palestina, y que cuenten cada vez historias más terribles de barbarie, ¿no? O sea, temibles, definitivamente. Así que bueno, estamos en un momento histórico, por el cual seguramente nuestros hijos en el futuro nos van a decir qué hicimos para cambiar esto, cuál fue nuestro rol, ¿no? ¿Okay? Y indistintamente pues tenemos que, yo creo, ¿no? Que debemos, nuestra respuesta debe ser que dimos nuestro grano de arena, y que yo pienso que más que un deber como humanos es una obligación. Es una obligación ante este momento histórico que estamos viviendo, que definitivamente podamos avanzar en la liberación del pueblo palestino, pues la liberación del pueblo palestino no solamente es la liberación del pueblo palestino, no lo he dicho yo nada más, lo he dicho muchas personas, analistas, historiadores, entre otros, es definitivamente la liberación de todos los pueblos del mundo que resistimos y que han resistido, por ejemplo en Sudamérica también han resistido tanto al colonialismo, por cierto, el colonialismo español en Venezuela y en otras partes de Sudamérica. Así que sigamos adelante, cada vez más fortalecidos. Es humano, es algo importante que quería decir, es normal, y podemos permitirnos sentir, podemos permitirnos pues llorar, por supuesto, sentirnos humanos, eso es indispensable, cosa que justamente pues no marca la diferencia contra el opresor. Así que sigamos resistiendo juntos, adelante, como pueblos unidos, organizados. Seguramente Palestina, más pronto que tarde, será libre, desde el río hasta el mar.
Bueno, decía Surun que nunca habíamos pensado que íbamos a vivir o que íbamos a ver momentos como los que estamos viviendo estos años, y ella hablaba del genocidio que estamos sufriendo todas y todos, pero yo creo que el mundo entero no esperaba ver a la resistencia palestina el 7 de octubre tambalear al ejército invencible, pero tampoco poder resistir durante un año sin ser derrotada, tampoco ver a la resistencia libanesa enfrentarse, que ya se había enfrentado en el Líbano a este ejército, pero lo que nos esperaba en unos momentos, porque también hay que ver siempre lo positivo, ver la resistencia, el campo de la resistencia a nivel internacional unido. El eje de la resistencia en la región árabe en Palestina, en el Líbano, en Yemen, en Siria, en Irak, pero también la resistencia en otras partes del mundo, desde Venezuela, México, Países Bajos, España, Alemania, Estados Unidos, todos los pueblos y todas las juventudes que están saliendo, somos capaces de cambiar el mundo. Por eso es importante este momento que estamos viviendo y hay que ver también lo positivo. Os dejo ahora con Mohammad Khatib. Mohammad es de los primeros también que formaron parte de la fundación del movimiento Masar Badil desde el 2020 que empezamos a preparar hasta el 2021 cuando fundamos el movimiento, y es el coordinador europeo de Salud. Muchas gracias, Mohammad.
Well, very difficult to speak after Muhammad. I think I'm in a very difficult position after Mikhail Barakat will be speaking, so I don't have much to say. And I will not be repeating my comments because we covered most of the topic. I will touch a bit why on Samidun we joined Masar Badil and why we put all of our efforts as an organization and as a network to be part of this political mass movement, to be part of this political umbrella. I am not here to lecture Spanish people about resistance, because you have a long history of resistance in Spain. And nor also, I do believe that our job as Palestinian people today in 2024 to explain, for example, to the Dutch people in the Netherlands what's apartheid. Apartheid is a Dutch word, and it's a Dutch and Flemish concept. We are not here as Palestinians to come as refugees to Europe in 2023-24, apply for asylum, learn your language, and then also to explain to you what colonialism is. I mean, Spanish and French and Belgian colonialism is a long history, and we know the details how this colonialism articulates itself and how it represents itself, and what the result of this colonial heavy machine that still exists until today. Nor we are here to justify why the Palestinian people have been and still and will continue to resist and fight back by all means this Western European Zionist white colonial movement that exists in Palestine. Zionism is not a Middle Eastern movement. Zionism is not a movement that was born in Jerusalem, nor in Haifa or in Yafa. Zionism is a European colonial movement that was born in Basel, but luckily we have our comrades from Basel here, so history is changing. Zionism is a movement that was born in Europe. It's a European, Western colonial movement. Of course, we as Palestinians, as Arabs, as peoples of the region that comes from different backgrounds, we have a duty to defeat Zionism in Palestine. We have the duty to break this colonial, settler colonial institution and to dismantle what's so-called the Zionist state, to dismantle its institution, to dismantle the army, to dismantle the settlements, to dismantle the companies that manufacture weapons, to dismantle this hierarchical system that uses Palestinians as a cheap labor or almost slaves, that we are building the settlements in Palestine and West Bank in the past 30, 40 years. This is the situation we live in as Palestinians in the diaspora. As my comrades explained, that in my generation, I was born in 19. Also happened when we grow up, there was no Palestinian mass movement in the diaspora that exists as it used to be. Palestinian movement was destroyed after, during Oslo, and I can say even much before Oslo. Since the beginning, where the Palestinians internally, within the PLO in 1973, we start to discuss about the potential of building a Palestinian state in any occupied place. This was the root, the beginning of the root of having this kind of fragmentation within the Palestinian movement. And I would say, if we speak about the modern Palestinian revolution that took place in '67, I would say, in a very humble way, that this revolution, the Palestinian revolution, took place only from 1967 to 1973. And after that, it was a moment of destruction. Our mass organization, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, was that and still by the Palestinian right wing. That the Palestinian right wing manifests itself after by the PA to transfer the PLO as a national liberation movement and a big umbrella that hosts and organizes all the Palestinian mass organizations, the feminist union, the women unions, the workers unions, the student unions, the mass organizations, the kindergartens, all of these institutions that the Palestinians, the poor people of the Palestinians who live in the refugee camps, built by their money and by their gold, and by their efforts and by their blood, was destroyed and was replaced to have a so-called authority and to replace the unions with ministry and so on. This also was not done only by the Palestinian right wing. It was done not only by the support of the Zionist entity. This was done also by the manipulation and the hegemony of what we call today the so-called European Union and the European colonial states that interfere locally in our struggle. And when we speak about that, we don't only mean the right wing in Europe. The social democrats in Europe played a dirty role to support the Palestinian right wing. The left, the parliamentarian left, any leftist group in Europe, the moment they get one seat in any election, they used to have before relationship with the PFLP and PFLP, and they go to the refugee camps to take pictures with Kalashnikov. And when they get one seat in the parliament, and they get elected because they support Palestine, they turn their back to Palestinian people, and then their only relationship would be with a corrupted Palestinian ambassador that supported and given money on a monthly basis by the Zionist regime. And they know that very well. But they do this kind of relationship to protect their local interests and to protect their local agenda in Europe and to still see as they still support Palestine, but still they can manage this kind of relationship to keep them in authority and in power and so on. And we still see that this is ongoing until now. The same left and the same political parties that we are speaking about, they recognize what happened on the 7th of October as a war crimes. And they were against the Palestinian resistance. And they forced on us, until now, we see this, I'm sure, it's in Madrid, it's in Brussels, it's in Paris, it's everywhere. They forced on us that slogan of ceasefire now. This is not a Palestinian demand. This is not a Palestinian slogan. This is not what our people in Gaza are calling the world to call for. We want the people to go to the street to mobilize against Zionism and against imperialism and to get naked this fascist movement and to make it clear what they are doing against the Palestinian people. Not to ask for ceasefire between us and the Zionist colonial machine that continue to kill our people even if 7th of October didn't happen. Even this genocide that we are speaking now, I'm not surprised as a Palestinian to see these images. We saw it in Sabra and Shatina, we saw it in Tal al-Za'atar, we saw it in Deir Yassin. We have been seeing these images before 1948 until now. This is an ongoing massacre that the Palestinian people are doing. If we speak about political prisoners, before the 7th of October we had 6,000 to 7,000 political prisoners. Now there's 12 to 13,000 political prisoners. No one of us, even in Santidur, can tell how many political prisoners are in prison in the Palestinian Authority prison that's supported by the European Union and given money by the European Union to build this in prison and to do security coordination with the Zionist state of Israel. Our demand as Palestinians, not ceasefire now, is liberation now. Our demand as Palestinians is free Palestine from the river to the sea. And also, yes, we told very clearly that we are struggling and we will keep struggling to demolish and destroy the Zionist state of Israel. But we are not here to destroy any human being communities. The Palestinian people in 1967, in the refugee camps of Jordan, the first freedom fighters of the PLO, of Fatah, and the PFLP, and the TFLP, and all those political organizations were members of the National Liberation Movement of Palestine, proposed a solution, a clear solution. A one free, democratic Palestine from the river to the sea, where everyone can live in equality and justice in a society, out of racism, Zionism, fascism, and all the actionaries. We analyzed our enemy as Palestinians at that moment, and we still stick to that analysis. We as Palestinians know our enemy very well. It's Zionism, it's capitalism, it's imperialism, it's European colonialism, and it's Arab reactionary regimes. And we go deeper. We go to the Palestinian bourgeoisie, who are some of them are benefiting from the existence of the occupation. Today, in this moment, while our people in Gaza are facing genocide, and our people in West Bank are facing ethnic cleansing, and the political prisoners are facing and torture, some Palestinians still have VIP card that they can travel freely from Tel Aviv airport and still can do businesses. And we recognize them as part of the Zionist forces. We don't recognize them as just national Palestinian people that we need to be united with them. No, I will not ask the Spanish people to be united with the People's Party here, who is fascist and racist and calling to kill and deport the migrants and so on. We don't call you to be united and we don't recognize that there is division. The Palestinian people are not divided. We are united. We are united behind the resistance. We are united to free Palestine from the river to the sea. We are united in our steadfastness as a community to support each other, to support our people, and to be essential part of the Palestinian resistance. We have political differences. We have different classes as Palestinians. Because we are society. We are not an ultra group of supporters of a football team that we all need to look like each other and to react like each other as Palestinians. We come from we are very diverse society as a Palestinians. So since we are deprived as a Palestinian diaspora who contributed to build the PLO, to build all the Palestinian political parties that exist today, we contributed to support our people during the first Intifada and the second Intifada, but after also we are only allowed to be like you in solidarity with the Palestinian people. And we will never accept that. Because if we accept that, that means that we are compromising in our identity as Palestinians. And then we are compromising on our rights as Palestinians in our homeland, in our home country. And that's how we never refer to Palestine as a state. When it comes to the Samidun and the Masar Badil, since we are a Palestinian Arab internationalist organization, progressive network that exists in the diaspora, and also we exist inside Palestine. And I will tell you that Samidun network have political prisoners inside Palestine. We cannot say their name. We cannot advocate for them as members of Samidun because of their safety and security. Since even though they are already in prison and facing torture and imprisonment and so on, we are better enough as a network to be recognized as a terrorist organization by the state of Israel in 2018. This is a hard punch over our chest as a Samidun, as a country. We are very proud of our governors who are occupied Palestine, either in Gaza or West Bank, who are willing to be members of Samidun underground and to be in prison without being praised and have their posters everywhere and to speak about their history and the movement. They are willing to sacrifice in silence by building the movement and to build the future for Palestine. But then in the diaspora, what's our role? How? And this diaspora changed today. Not anymore the Palestinian refugees only start in the refugee camps in Lebanon. The Palestinians of Syria and Lebanon today, they are Europeans. Today we have more than 1 million of Palestinians in Europe. You like it or not, Palestinians are Germans today. Palestinians are Swedish today. Palestinians are Belgians today, from Gaza, from Syria, from Lebanon. We are part of the local society here today, not only in Europe, in Latin America as well, in the United States as well. And this put us in a position that it's not only our duty to fight for the freedom and to the liberation of Palestine, but also to be engaged and to be part of the local struggle that exists here. Because if we do believe that there is a struggle against racism, we are the one who face racism. If we do believe that there is a struggle of the cheap labor and working class, we are the cheap labor working class here in Europe. Yes, we are the cheap labor working class here today in Europe. So we need to be actively part of the local struggle here in Palestine, because as Thomas said, any liberation and victory for the Palestinian people inside Palestine, it's a victory and liberation for us here. And any victory and liberation for us here is a victory and liberation for the Palestinian people back home inside Palestine. But we are very realistic in Samidun. We don't believe that Samidun will liberate Palestine. We in Samidun is a network focusing and advocating and contributing to the struggle of the Palestinian political prisoners. We don't even pretend that we liberated one prisoners. We never managed even when we advocate for political prisoners who are facing forced feeding or big hunger strike because of health condition. We campaign, we strike, we protest, we do all type of advocacy from the EU to the streets to direct action, but we never managed to reduce the torture of the only one who did that is the Palestinian resistance and the Palestinian armed resistance. Right? It's the Palestinian armed resistance who managed to liberate the Palestinian prisoners, and we do believe with the Palestinian armed resistance we managed to liberate Palestine from the river to the sea. But then if we don't do that, if we will not be able to do that as Saudi, with whom? Who is our alliance? There is thousands of Palestinian organizations that exist in the diaspora who are with us on the same line. That's how we came together with Al-Karama, with Al-Jalur, with Palestinian cultural centers in Lebanon, with different political Palestinian and diaspora organizations in the US and in Latin America to come together under one political umbrella to agree on a very clear, simple demands: free Palestine from the river to the sea. After liberation, Palestine is a democratic society. Down to Oslo, our main enemy should be the PA, the EU, the European institutions, colonial institutions, American imperialism, Canadian imperialism, Australian imperialism and colonialism and so on. We need to bring all of these efforts together. We do believe about the role of the woman today in the liberation movement. We do believe on the role of the youth, not to be a sub-group in the movement, but we do believe that the youth need to lead us to the liberation of Palestine. How we will liberate Palestine when we don't manage to liberate George Brahim Abdullah, who is imprisoned in Europe for more than 40 years. And we will not do that as some. We need all of the efforts together, not only for the Palestinian movements, forces and factions, but here locally, the forces who contributed to the movement and to the liberation of Palestine, as Thomas said, by blood, by money, by suffering, by imprisonment, and many of our European and Western comrades still facing this until now and still contributing in this struggle. But also we are not Eurocentric only. Since we are in Spain and we are in the EU and it is part of our reality, but also we look at Africa, we look at Asia, we look at Latin America, and we are amazed and proud to see this amazing support. If we look after the 7th of October now, me as a Palestinian who was born and raised in a refugee camp, I feel very proud to see Jewish young people in Europe, in the US, in Canada, not only being activists for Palestine, leading the movement for the liberation of Palestine. Not only us today in Islamic will say free Palestine from the river to the sea. The Jewish voices are calling for free Palestine from the river to the sea because they will secure and ensure their freedom as a Jewish community in Palestine or outside of Palestine when it comes to this. And they ensure that the Jewish community are not hijacked anymore by the Zionist colonial entity. How do we accomplish this? Of course, through the mass work, through organizing our community, through rebuilding our institutions, mass institutions, and educational institutions, and so on. But also, this is not enough. We have full right as Palestinian people to be actively active in the armed resistance of the Palestinians. We have full right as Palestinians to put our skills and to give our skills to our armed organization. We are willing to be in the first front and sacrifice their life for the protection of our people in Gaza and in Lebanon and elsewhere. Since we speak now in a moment in genocide and heavy colonial machine not only in Palestine but also in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, with all the respect of the movement that exists today for Palestine and to stand clearly against the genocide. It's amazing to see and it's very important. It should be stronger. And for me, this movement reflects not only on the struggle for Palestine, but also it reflects about the local struggles that exist, that manage to develop itself to fight back for Palestine. But sorry, where was this movement when Iraq was in the war? Where was this movement for 10 years when the peoples of Yemen, more than 90,000 Yemeni people were killed? Spain was part of that coalition. Belgium was part of that coalition. France is part of it, so we are complicit. We are complicit in the genocide, not only in Palestine, in the region, and not only Palestine is occupied. Jordan is under colonialism and is occupied. Morocco is occupied. Cairo and Egypt is fully occupied. Lebanon is liberated. Every place where we have armed resistance and we have mass movement, this is where we have liberation. But the rest of the Arab world is under colonialism. Do you believe that the Gulf countries is free countries? Not even that. It's putting us as Arabs in a position that we are enslaving people today. We are enslaving the Indians and the Asians inside this is for the benefit of the Arab people? Of course not. This is the benefit of the 1% class of the Arab people and for the colonial power that protecting this authority. Emirat and Saudi Arabia exist because there is American military bases in Emirat and in Saudi Arabia. In Syria, there is American military bases too. So not only Zionist military bases to occupy Palestine, and also as Palestinians, we are not only seeking to liberate Palestine from the Zionist army, but we are seeking with the Arab people to liberate the Arab world from American imperialism, from French imperialism, from Spanish imperialism and colonialism and so on. And we know that we share the same interest with the local people because the Spanish people are not benefiting from all of them. We saw what happened during Iraq. And we are very sorry about the attack, I think it was the attacks, when Al-Qaeda attacks Spain. Why we reached to this level? Who is responsible for that? Of course, Al-Qaeda is a terrorist organization. They don't represent the Arab people and the Muslim people. But also, in the first place, the question is, why is Spain going to Iraq? Why the United States have an interest to open a base in Syria? No, we have full right to not accept this. If otherwise we will accept, or the Spanish government should accept that the PLO and Hamas make military bases in Spain. And then we should be free to operate in this level, right? Because otherwise that is not fair. Otherwise this is a true still colonial imperialist institution that still exists as a burden over our people. Our people in Palestine today are confronting and managed to build a strong armed resistance, a strong armed force, even though by living under siege since 2006 and even much more. This is only in Gaza. Our people in Lebanon today in the refugee camps where they are siege, deprived from their social rights, accommodation, movement, education and housing, but still managing and capable to build a strong resistance that is committed for the liberation of Palestine. This is where we learn lessons from our people who live in the mud and in a very difficult conditions, that their resilience and their steadfastness and commitment for the struggle and for the liberation. And here we go the same. We proved at the Palestinian diasporas, second and third and fourth generation all over the world, that even today Palestinians who don't speak Arabic, who don't speak their own mother language, but they are leading the movement for the liberation of Palestine. They are committed for the liberation of Palestine, not because we are nationalists, and not because we are fighting about piece of land, but because we have the full awareness and the consciousness that our cause is a human cause, and we have a human mission to defeat Zionism, not only to clean this region from this racist ideology and fascist ideology, but also to provide an example and a potential for a bigger colony, right? Because if we manage to defeat the Zionist state inside Palestine, we will manage to defeat American imperialism inside the so-called United States, inside the Turkic island. If we manage to defeat Zionism inside Palestine, we will manage to defeat and dismantle the colonies in the US and Asia and elsewhere. So Palestine is dangerous because Palestine will provide an example of liberation not only for the Palestinian people. And you hear it sometimes, you hear it from a Palestinian activist saying Palestine is the last colony. No, we are not the last colony of the world, and we are not the only people who are suffering from colonialism. As Palestinians who live under genocide now, we acknowledge and we admit that the Congolese people are living under genocide. And the people of Sudan are living under genocide now. And the people of South Africa still live under colonialism. And the people of Venezuela are still suffering from colonialism. And all of this, what we see, the black community in the US and the indigenous community in the US and Canada and Australia still until now suffering from colonialism and occupation. So Palestine is the first front of this confrontation, but we need all the forces to come together to liberate Palestine. And again, we have to secure the right of the Palestinian people here against repression, to have the full rights and the full space to mobilize and advocate and organize for Palestine, but also to be an essential part of the Palestinian, Arab, Islamist, democratic, national liberation movement. And what we miss here, as some of my comrades mentioned earlier, the role of the left, the role of the left, the role of the revolutionary left that contributed to the struggle of the Palestinian people and exists until today. But we cannot only keep claiming and blaming if the left in Palestine is not strong. We should ask ourselves this question: why the left in Palestine is not strong? The Islamist movement in Palestine is strong because the Islamist world is fundraising for the Islamist political movement in Palestine. Poor people in Pakistan and Afghanistan are cutting money from their food and sending this money to the Islamist movement in Palestine. Where is the progressive revolutionary forces around the world to support the PFLP and the DFLP and the People's Party everywhere? We don't mind. It doesn't exist anymore. The PFLP was strong in the 70s and 80s, opening mass institutions and mass organizations because there was a strong left internationalist movement from Japan to Germany to the Netherlands to Spain to Greece to the United States, supporting and sacrificing the Palestinian people, going to prisons, being shot and doing armed struggle operations to liberate Palestine and to contribute in the Palestinian struggle. So if we criticize the absence or the weakness of the Palestinian left, we have to criticize and to dig more and to look into our local situation as leftist and progressive forces. We cannot accept that the Palestinian people need to be silenced in a time when we are slaughtered, killed as animals inside Palestine, and expect from us to be silent, to be calm, and to be cool, and even give us the impression that our anger is not valid. We shouldn't be angry. We should be calm and cool and understand the situation, and we should be realistic. No! We have full I'm very amazed how the Palestinian people are still managing to control ourselves. We live in Europe. We live in the United States. We live in the belly of the beast. We live in the core of imperialism. My home is far 200 meters from the European colonial institution that I know as a Palestinian that this institution is sending every day billions of money and bombs to kill my people. And still I need to be relaxed. Maximum I have right to organize protests, and now we don't have that right. And if we organize protests, we are labeled as terrorists because we denounce genocide. We are labeled as extremists because we say no to racism, colonialism, and occupation. So I do believe that we, the people of the global South, are still controlling ourselves very much when it comes to the West, because we know our problem and our main contradiction is not only with the so-called Zionist state of Israel. The Zionist state of Israel is a small manifestation of that colonial institution that here is the core of it. We all know if the West tomorrow stop funding the Zionist state of Israel, Israel will not exist. And I will assure you that Israel will never exist in the future. And the Palestinian people will defeat the Zionist state of Israel. The Arab people will dismantle the colonial state of Israel, and along with the progressive forces in the West, with the working class in the West, with every single oppressed community in the West who have direct interest of change, we have to come together and to build our resistance, because fascism is coming here. We might liberate Palestine in the coming years. Palestine might be liberated very soon. But here, there's a very dark future is coming. Fascism is coming to power in Europe. Racism, armed forces, here the fascist movement are going to Israel to get trained. Trained against who? To use weapons against who? the Spanish and Belgian police getting trained in the state of Israel to use these skills against who? So we will be very happy as a Palestinian to welcome you in a free Palestine from the river to the sea, and hopefully you will not be a political asylum in Palestine. You can come to Palestine, we have a duty in a free Palestine from the river to the sea to provide training and to arm every national liberation movement around the world. The rockets we have in Gaza, this knowledge should be transferred to Mexico and to Colombia and to Philippines. These methods of resistance should be given to national liberation movements who are fighting colonialism and occupation. And here where Palestine will play a role in the future, after the liberation and after defeating Zionism, by empowering every single political organization will be committed to fight against racism, against colonialism. And if the Palestinian people lived from 1948 until 67, then until 24, in an era of Nakba, of genocide, of occupation, of invasion, of siege and displacement and uprooting us from our homeland, from the 7th of October and above, it's an era of liberation. It's an era of us, Palestinian people and Arab people and the people of the world getting united to change the world order. And this is what we see today, and we are very proud of the barefoot people in Yemen, hungry and poor and almost naked, but managed to change the world order and to flip the table of everyone. This is what our people in Gaza managed, and that's why we in the Masar Badil and in Samidu, we see the 7th of October as a great day in the history of the Palestinian people. When the Palestinian people, freedom fighters, in Gaza, in Islam, in 48, in the refugee camps, managed to flip the table and to change the discourse and to say from this moment it's a moment of liberation, and we take the initiative. And that's why I will end with this. Long live the 7th of October. Long live the Palestinian in Barcelona, in Spain, in Paris, in Brussels, and to pay the consequences of it, because there is nothing of the consequences we are facing compared to what our people today are facing in Gaza. Nothing of these consequences of being stopped or arrested or taken to a court be compared to genocide and slaughtering of our kids and destroying our houses and society and community. This is nothing. We have much more to give, and we need to admit here as organizers, as leftists, as progressive, if we are not willing to sacrifice for liberation, we should go home. If we are not willing to sacrifice for our future, for the future of our generation, to live in peace, in equality, and in a society out of racism and fascism, we should go and work for the government and the police and the institutions and just shut up and be silent and do what we do. We cannot pretend to be bold. We cannot pretend to be revolutionaries and then to be opportunistic. We cannot pretend to be revolutionaries and then to be running for a seat in a parliament here and there and legitimizing our enemy. We need to be realistic, and it's okay, we shouldn't shame anyone. It's fine if you can give 10% to the movement. It's fine if you can give 20% to the movement. We respect that people have their families and their duties and their life. We are not here to shame anyone, but we need to be realistic in what we give. But if I cannot give 100% and my comrade can give 200%, I shouldn't put her back to seem equal and that we are the same radicals. No. If someone is willing to sacrifice and to struggle and to advance the struggle, we need to support them. And we need to create the environment for those comrades to struggle and to protect them, not to pull them down. So thank you so much. Sorry if I spoke too much or I get... in Lebanon, in Gaza, in Syria, in Jordan, in Palestine, in north of Palestine, until now, before and in the future, we are committed to the liberation of Palestine as you are committed to your liberation here. And we need to be equal in the struggle. We need to build a strong, leftist, progressive, revolutionary social movement, and we need to cure ourselves from racism and white supremacy and also this heavy colonial mentality, right? There's a serious problem in Europe when it comes to Islamophobia. It's a serious issue here today that we are facing as Palestinians. I never felt I am Muslim as I feel today. Because after the 7th of October, everyone attacked me or deal with me as a Muslim because our resistance today is represented by the Muslim movement. In every country in Europe or in the West, you have a Christian Democrat. And when we criticize them for being liberals, we criticize them for being central or right-wing, but we never criticize them because they are Christians. It's fine. We have in every country Jewish progressive voices and unions, and we are very proud to have them. But if I say I represent the Muslim Progressive Union, you will laugh. You will not take me seriously. Because there is a stereotype about Muslims that you cannot be Muslim and progressive. If you are Muslim, then you need to be fascist and ISIS and Daesh and Al-Qaeda. And this is the American imperialism propaganda and Zionist propaganda, and that's why we never see Al-Qaeda and ISIS fighting the Zionist state. But we see a truly Islamic, progressive, Arab nationalist forces committed to fight imperialism, capitalism, and Zionism, sometimes more than the left. So then it's a question of us, where is the left and where is the progressive forces? And if the left, if the Islamist movement have Muhammad there, then bravo, the left forces need to produce today another Che Guevara. Because Che Guevara was fighting in the mountains and carrying Kalashnikovs and fighting imperialism by bullets and arms, not by doing reconciliation and opening an NGOs and doing some fun to the European Union and being corrupted.
Gracias, Jatí. Bueno, como veis, en Masar Badil hemos dicho antes que somos un movimiento palestino internacionalista, que están representados, la mujer y los hombres también están representados, pero siempre hemos querido que la juventud tome el papel que le corresponde y, como había anunciado antes, está con nosotras la compañera Laila de Al-Yudur, el movimiento de la juventud palestina en el Estado español. Gracias, Laila, y adelante.
Como sabéis también Al-Yudur forma parte de Masar Badil. Al-Yudur es la juventud palestina en diáspora en España. Tenemos diferentes camaradas en diferentes ciudades por España y Al-Yudur nació con la necesidad, ¿no?, de que los palestinos, las palestinas que están en la diáspora se encuentran en una situación de no saber cómo sacar todas esas emociones de rabia, de dolor, de ganas de cambiar cosas. Entonces hemos pensado que es muy importante crear un espacio para la juventud. Al-Yudur nació en 2019, forma parte palestinos de la diáspora, hijos de refugiados, y básicamente lo que hacemos en Al-Yudur es primordial lo que es la formación de las palestinas en la diáspora. Cuando digo formación es que hay que saber que no cualquier palestino sirve para liderar. Y digo esto porque si uno no tiene unas bases políticas, no entiende el contexto, no entiende lo que es el colonialismo, no entiende teorías coloniales, de orientalismo, todo esto, es difícil que puede, pues esto, luchar por una liberación. Entonces vemos muy importante tener una juventud bien formada en líneas críticas muy revolucionarias para que tengan herramientas eficaces, porque lo que hemos visto ahora es que las líneas políticas, digamos políticas entre comillas, se han utilizado en otros espacios simplemente son un parche. Entonces necesita una línea que consiga pues, un movimiento duradero y con resultados efectivos. También hacemos pues, diferentes charlas, ya sea pues, para otras organizaciones, espacios estudiantiles, eventos que organizan partidos políticos, porque vemos también muy importante educar a la sociedad. Hemos visto como el lobby sionista se ha impregnado, ¿no? en tantos espacios y es importante pues, corregir todas las digamos, creencias, ¿no? erróneas que justamente pues, dificultan, ¿no? la liberación. También en nuestras charlas nos enfocamos pues, en llevarle, en hacer entender, ¿no? Teorías pues, antirracistas, también contra el capitalismo, también pues, un poco pues, se entiende mejor el contexto y sobre todo hay muchísimas digamos, puntos que dificultan la liberación desde la sociedad. Cuando digo, por ejemplo, aspectos concretos, por ejemplo, la paz. Mucha gente habla de la paz, pero hay que entender también qué entendemos por paz. Hay una paz que es para el colono, que esa paz para ellos significa seguir teniendo sus privilegios a base de imponer pues, una política colonial violenta, y que las palestinas pues, acepten esto, que sean sumisos, calladitos y ya está, ¿no? Eso sería un tipo de paz para el colono. Luego está el otro tipo de paz, ¿no? que vemos por muchos sitios, que es básicamente coexistencia. Yo me pregunto cómo se puede coexistir el colonizado y el colono, ¿no? Lo veo bastante complicado y lo hemos visto hasta ahora y durante más de 76 años que esto no es posible. O sea, no es posible convivir cuando hay checkpoints, cuando destruyen tu casa, cuando te secuestran y te torturan en los cárceles. No es posible tener una paz o convivencia, ¿no? Cuando hay muros de apartheid, cuando hay pues, incluso carreteras para el colono y para el colonizado, ¿no? Pues todas estas digamos, políticas de apartheid no se pueden compartir. Entonces también hay que tener eso en cuenta. Y luego está otro concepto de paz que yo digo que es el real significado de la paz, que es una Palestina libre desde el río mar, sin racismo, sin leyes de apartheid, sin colonialismo, etcétera, etcétera, donde todo el mundo pueda vivir con los mismos derechos. Y eso hay que tener en cuenta. Entonces, nuestro objetivo, ¿no? es hablar sobre todos esos puntos problemáticos que hacen que se aclare mucho más la situación y eso. También vemos súper importante lo que es tejer redes con otras organizaciones, con otros espacios. También llevar Palestina a diferentes partidos políticos para conseguir que lo tengan en su agenda y que no sea simplemente una instrumentalización de la causa palestina como hemos visto, especialmente actualmente como se ha reconocido el Estado palestino, que no es nada más que digamos, maquillaje, ¿no? No ha cambiado nada todavía. Sí que es verdad que puede suponer, ¿no? una especie de posibilidad de que ahora otros países también lo reconozcan, pero es que ese reconocimiento del Estado palestino no lleva unas líneas y estrategias claras de cuál es la línea para liberar Palestina. No hay, por ejemplo, ni cortar relaciones con Israel, no ha habido ningún embargo de armas, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces es algo simbólico que queda muy bien, pero estamos viendo que no ha cambiado nada. También desde la Yudur pues hacemos acciones directas, diferentes acciones directas. También, como habéis visto, las acampadas estudiantiles también hemos formado parte, porque vemos súper importante poner y asegurarnos poner en foco Palestina en las acampadas. Como antes dije también que pasa este fenómeno, ¿no?, de organizaciones de diferentes tipos, aprovecharse de la causa palestina para instrumentalizarlo y usar en su propio beneficio. Entonces es muy importante recordar Palestina y que esté presente Palestina en las acampadas. Lo mismo, formar a los estudiantes y eso. Después, Al-Yudur lo que demanda o en lo que se basa y su principal ideología es el Tawhid, que es básicamente un conjunto de principios que sin esos principios no puede haber una liberación, y esos principios son, por ejemplo, el derecho al retorno. Y aquí también me gustaría decir que el derecho al retorno significa derecho al retorno a toda Palestina, a Palestina histórica, desde arriba al mar. En el caso de la solución de los estados, por ejemplo, mi familia y yo no podíamos volver, porque mi familia y yo somos de las 3 del 48, lo que se llama actualmente Israel. Y entonces, claro, ¿qué va a pasar ¿qué va a pasar con nuestra ciudad, nuestra casa, nuestros términos? No podemos volver. Entonces, defendemos el derecho al retorno. También defendemos, y esto es muy importante, todos los tipos de resistencia. Hay que entender que cuando hablamos del colonialismo, muchas veces como que nos imaginamos como algo grande, como un monstruo de cómo nos enfrentamos a ello, pero en realidad es muy sencillo. La clave está en entender por qué carácter o qué contextos se forman y entender cada contexto cómo se puede decolonizar, y para poder hacerlo se necesitan diferentes resistencias. Puede ser pues ya sea resistencia cultural, ya sea resistencia de todo tipo, y incluido también la resistencia armada. Eso también es súper importante, porque hay que entender también que es una posición privilegiada decir que debe ser algo pacífico, ¿no? Sobre todo porque se tiende mucho a romantizar la decolonización, y eso no es así. Sobre todo cuando la colonización es violenta, cabe también una respuesta pues, violenta. Es así. Y además es algo que es un derecho que tiene un pueblo ocupado. Ya lo hemos visto en la resolución de 3070 de la ONU, que lo recoge perfectamente, donde dice que cualquier pueblo bajo colonización tiene el derecho de existir a través de cualquier tipo de método, incluso la armada. Entonces, pues defendemos todo tipo de resistencia. Y además, cualquier persona que diga que estudia la Palestina y no defienda esto es una por otro lado, también rechazamos cualquier tipo de normalización con el Estado colonial. También defendemos la autodeterminación y muchas líneas más que recoge digamos, los principios de Tawhid. Por otro lado, también creemos súper importante que los palestinos y las palestinas de la diáspora entienden su deber de trabajar en la diáspora por la liberación, y que entienden el contexto donde viven, entienden muy bien para poder entender cómo podemos influir desde aquí y poder hacer pues, todo lo que esté en nuestra mano. También nuestro objetivo es que entienden que, digamos que cuando se trata de una causa tan grande, también significa que hay que hacer muchos sacrificios. Hemos visto, ¿no?, en estos últimos tiempos, la represión que hay y la represión que están sufriendo varios compañeros en YouTube, en otros sitios. Y es que es normal porque, claro, y yo pienso que si hay represión significa que algo estamos bien. Si no hay represión significa que no somos una amenaza, y si no somos una amenaza significa que no tienen miedo de los cambios que podemos traer. Por lo tanto, queremos también que entiendan nuestros camaradas de que hay una obligación de la lucha y que esto lleva sacrificios. No es fácil, pero nos regimos pues, por este concepto del sumud. No sé si mi compañero también seguramente ha hablado del concepto del sumud, que es resistir. Da igual las situaciones en las que te encuentras, en las dificultades que te encuentras. Es algo que hemos aprendido de nuestros compañeros de cristianos políticos en los cárceles y de campos de concentración que hay en Israel, en el Estado colonial israelí. Y vemos importante, ¿no? Entender esta filosofía de resistir a pesar de cualquier situación que haya.
También creemos que cualquier digamos, dificultad que nosotros podemos enfrentarnos y cualquier tipo de represión que podemos enfrentarnos incluso es un honor para conseguir, ¿no? la liberación. Por otro lado también vemos muy importante entender también y poner en foco lo que nuestros compañeros palestinos que viven en Palestina, qué es lo que llaman cómo ven la liberación, y entender esto porque es verdad que nosotros vivimos en la diáspora, hay compañeras y compañeros que no han podido nunca ir a Palestina. Necesitamos también pues eso, tener alianza muy fuerte con nuestros compañeros y entender exactamente cómo podemos guiar la liberación desde la diáspora, ¿no? Y por otro lado, vemos que la juventud y después, además del 7 de octubre, es algo que vemos muy positivo que ha pasado, es que los movimientos juveniles se han renacido. Hasta ahora, pues, en muchos espacios, digamos, han estado como durmientes, digamos, y a raíz del 7 de octubre pues, ha habido un renacimiento de estos movimientos y además con unas bases muy fuertes que demuestran, ¿no? de una digamos, larga lucha que podremos hacer y además teniendo en cuenta que la juventud pues, tiene menos miedo, ¿no? de perder cualquier, digamos, cualquier tipo de agresión que puede sufrir, ¿no? Se expone más a ello y lucha. Entonces, vemos pues, muy importante, ¿no? Este nuevo acontecimiento en el que estamos y formar la juventud.
Muchas gracias Laila, Jacín, Sausan, Surur y Tomás. Gracias a todas las camaradas que han venido desde muy lejos para acompañarnos, para estar con nosotras en esta semana de Masar Badil. Y bueno, ahora vamos a dar paso a nuestra camarada Khalid Barakat, que por culpa del imperialismo colonial, por culpa del gobierno fascista de Alemania que le ha prohibido la entrada en la Unión Europea, no ha podido acompañarnos hoy, pero nos va a hablar desde Beirut, donde está la resistencia, y vamos a escuchar entonces a Khalid Barakat. Khalid, tfadal. مستمعينا
Hello.
سامعينك خالد، تفضل.
Okay, so I was saying, hola, marhaba, assalamu alaikum, hello everyone, hello to all the comrades and friends in Madrid. And let me begin by saluting the comrades in Madrid for all their efforts in organizing this conference, this forum. It's essential to meet and have a dialogue and discuss every issue that affects Palestine today and that affects Lebanon as the two main fronts, and at the same time discuss our issues in Europe, North America, South America, and our responsibilities. So I want to thank those who bear the travel to come and to attend and to be part of this very important meeting. And I also wanted, because I can't see you, so, but maybe I can hear you, for our comrade, the Seattle Brigade, if you can hear me, make some noise so I can hear you. Okay. Shout so I can see you. I wanted to say that this is a great opportunity for us to speak to you, especially that we are addressing this conference from Beirut. And at the same time, we tried our best to be in Gaza in the last year, and we couldn't. But we say that we must be here also in order to reaffirm the position of the Masar Badil, that we stand with the Palestinian and Lebanese resistance, that we will be a voice for the resistance to the world as much as we can, and to be present with our people. And this is very important experience for us, especially at these times of historical moments that we all are living. I also wanted to say that it has been a year since Al-Aqsa flood happened, and I want to salute on behalf of you, our comrades who couldn't make it to the conference, but they are organizing and they are getting ready to mobilize people in New York, in New Jersey, in Vancouver, Toronto, Sao Paulo, and other places. So we salute those comrades who are working and mobilizing to commemorate 1 year of Al-Aqsa flood, and to say the slogan that Masar Badil and its organizations, particularly its leading organization, Samiyun, have challenged in the heart of the beast and say, long live October 7th. And this is an important slogan, important position, because we wanted to say that the resistance is our reference, and that we are not going to be ashamed of the resistance and its actions. It represents us and it speaks for all Palestinians. And it's important because Masar Badil is an international Arab and Palestinian organization and movement. And we want to push this very important identity for our movement in order to be very clear on our position as an anti-imperialist movement, anti-fascist, anti-Zionist, and anti-Arab reactionary regimes. And this is the camp of any of the Palestinian people, and we will fight wherever we exist and with whatever means we are capable of obtaining. I wanted to say 2 things about what's happening in Lebanon and in the region, particularly in these days. But I want to start with the Western media and the Zionist media and Arab reactionary news outlets are fabricating lies, and there is two realities. That their reality in their corrupted media and the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground here, as I see it in a very close way, that the resistance is strong and it's united and it will win. I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to be victorious in this battle, just like we were victorious in 2006 and in every confrontation this resistance have engaged in. And those who doubt that we will be victorious and that the Palestinian and the Lebanese resistance with the full support of our great people in Yemen, Iraq, Iran, and the support of the international revolutionary movements and progressive forces across the world is forming a new international wave that will formulate in a camp that will oppose and struggle against US imperialism and struggle against the issues that you are doing yourself in your respective places and you know the details. Now, this war, just like every other war in our region since 1917 until today, it's about colonialist hegemony, stealing and plundering the resources of this region, imposing Zionism and the Zionist regime on our people, and making sure that Arabs of this region will not be united. And this war is also about that. However, this war is different in its objectives in terms of the nature of the aggression and the situation of the Zionist enemy and the Zionist regime, and how this regime is becoming extremely dangerous, not just against the Palestinian people, but dangerous to the people of the world. People like Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben-Gvir are no different than the so-called Israeli oppositions, Lapid and others. They are not, there is no, real political differences in terms of how they look at the Palestinian people, including the families of the Israeli captures in Gaza. When they immobilize people in the Israeli street, they go there to say, we want our capture, but then after that destroy Gaza, we don't care about Gaza. So the Zionist enemy in so many ways have a consensus on destroying Gaza, on defeating and ending the Palestinian resistance, and at the same time, when they talk about displacement, when they talk about getting rid of the people in Gaza, when they talk about building settlements in Gaza, they are not saying that as political statements for the media. They are serious about this, and they mean it. They do not want to see one single Palestinian in Gaza, and they don't want to see one single Palestinian in the West Bank or Jerusalem or 48. They want to get rid of the Palestinian people, because this crew that is leading the Zionist enemy today view what happened in 48 as a job that is not finished. And they want to finish the job of Ben Gurion, and they want to finish the job of the Zionists who established the entity in Palestine. And so it's a very serious war. And it is the continuation of the Nakba, but at the same time, this war is not just orchestrated and led by Israel. This is a war by NATO, US imperialism, leading this Western colonialist powers, backing Israel with it. Full support, military support, financial support. Israel did not receive funds as it received it this year. They never received these kind of 2,000 pounds bombs, and like they received it this year. They received F-35 fighters this year. They have been funded to the teeth by US imperialism in order to do what they're doing right now in Gaza, the genocide and the war crimes, and what they're doing today in Lebanon as well. Because if you see Bahia, it is a small Gaza so far, and they're trying to turn the southern district of Beirut into another Gaza. That's what they're going after. The real intentions of the Zionists today is to end the camp of resistance in the region. This is a US, Israel, and Arab reactionary resolutions. And that's why you do not see even the slightest condemnation to the atrocities that the Israeli army are inflicting in Lebanon. They are exactly doing what they did in Gaza. Killing health workers, targeting civilians, claiming, and Israel can claim anything, and the US will just adopt that narrative, and Europe too. They can say that in this area there are, stockpiles of weapons we are going to destroy, and they will immediately agree with Israel. Whatever Israel says, they give their full support. And today we are seeing that this camp, led by the United States and the normalizers of the Ibrahimi Accords, the Bahraini government, the Saudi government, the Jordanian government, the Egyptian government, Moroccan, they are scared to death if the resistors are able to stay fast and refuse the intentions and the goals of the Israeli aggression. Because this is not about Israeli capture in Gaza. And this is not about Hamas. This is about ending and liquidating the Palestinian cause. Because the Zionist enemy feels that this is an historic opportunity for them to do that. That's what they want. Can they achieve that? Absolutely not. Why? Because we have a strong camp of resistance today. Today, after 1 year of Al-Aqsa flood, there was the largest mobilization ever in Sana'a and in Hamas, like they never had before. And you know the Yemeni mobilizations in the millions every Friday. Today was the largest. In Iraq, the same. And in Iran, and in Palestine, the Palestinian resistance have been carrying heroic military operations against the Zionist soldiers in Gaza as if the war just started to be. And why is that? That's because the resistance is representing the will and the aspiration of our nations, particularly the popular classes of the Arab world and the oppressed and impoverished classes of the Arab world. That's what this resistance is about. It's not a group of people who like to throw missiles at Israel. This is a representative of the people aspiration for the future. And this war is about the future. This war is about the future of Palestine and the future of this region. And that's why it is very, very important for our people to be united in order to defeat the Zionist aggression and defuse Israeli intentions and goals. The important thing to remember is the role of the so-called international community. A couple of weeks ago, there was an interview with Antonio Guterres, the General Secretary of the United Nations, and they asked him if this system is working, and he said, no, it's not working. He said, everyone wants to do whatever they want to. The US doesn't play its role, and he even criticized the US and said that this system, the international system, is failing. And so this war is not just about Gaza, and it's not just about the region. It's also about the international scene and the
balance of power on the international scene. And that's why, in my view, our role is becoming very essential and important, especially those comrades who are struggling in the middle of the peace in the US, in Canada, in Europe, and elsewhere. Our role and our responsibility is becoming more greater and more important. What is also important to realize is that the people today of the Arab world are united, and there is no talk of Shiites versus Sunnis anymore. And why is that? That is because the resistance is implementing the concept of revolutionary unity with blood and with sacrifices. That's because there are people who are fighting in Gaza under the banner of Hassan Nasrallah, and people who are fighting in South Lebanon under the banner of Sinwar. And the unity of this nation is vital and it's important, and it's one of the most important conditions for victory. And that's why we can have a zero tolerance for this unity and for those who want to fraction our movement and lead us nowhere, just like they did in the so-called Arab Spring. Because this Arab revolutionary spring is the correct one, because the compass is Palestine and the compass is Jerusalem, and because it is led by the resistance of the region and not led by NGOs who gets funded by European Union. And so today, when we look at the situation in the region, we know for a fact that we are going to be victorious. And that is because of this unity, and it's because the compass of this fight, and because of the sacrifices that the resistance in Yemen, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Palestine are putting every day into the battlefield. That is a very clear war with very clear two camps and with very clear leadership as well. And it is important that we be very clear when we speak about what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Lebanon. Some of our friends and comrades in the left movement, they won't support the resistance today because it is not led by the left. Some of our forces that call themselves progressives, they are silent. And some of them, including in the Arab world, what Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah called the people who goes into the top of the mountain, watching, seeing where the balance of power is going to shift, and then they'll leave the mountain and side with the victorious. Those are opportunities, we know them, and we don't trust them, and we should expose them. This is a time where we cannot have ambiguous positions about this war. You are either with the resistance or you're not. You're either with the unity of the people fighting for their future or you're not. You're either for the liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea or you're not. There is no ambiguity here. We need to be very clear, and our comrades, particularly in Masar Badil, needs to be carrying the message of the resistance, and they are doing so, and they are also paying the price for the Not one single organization in the diaspora was willing to host a spokesperson of Hezbollah or Hamas or Islamic Jihad or Yemen except Masar Badil. You should be proud of yourself, because that's when the will and the positions are tested. In the harsh times, not in easy times, and not in the time of comfort and comfortable times. When we talk to the displaced Lebanese people who are coming to Beirut and to the streets of Beirut, and you see them and you talk to them, and I have been doing that, not one single woman or man or child or youth who would say that we blame the resistance for this. They stand behind their resistance as a united, popular incubator of this resistance, and they know that they're paying this price, and everyone else in Beirut might also pay this price. But there is a national unity in Lebanon that has never been seen before. Yes, you might hear about a story here and a story there, but generally there is a unity of all Lebanese political spectrums except for the collaborators and those who were agents for Israel and elite and committed the massacre of Sabra and Shatila here in September 19. Now, when we also talk to them, they're very angry and they're very sad because they have lost everything. Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah for us, it's like Che for the people of Latin America and to the world. He is a revolutionary scholar. He is a committed leader. He was a thinker and he was a strategist. And his loss was absolutely painful, and there are almost a denial in so many places and so many sectors of the Lebanese society, and the Arab people not believing what happened, and not believing that Israel could score against the resistance in the most sensitive area for the resistance, which is its internal security. And he knows how important this is for the resistance. For those of you who remember in May of 2008, the resistance in Lebanon, when its internal communication was threatened here, they said this is a red line. The resistance in this region, whether in Palestine or in Lebanon, they are the most flexible political forces when it comes to the internal issues. They are patient, they understand. They like dialogue and they push for dialogue and not confrontation when it comes to internal issues. And they understand that this is vital and important, but not when someone messes with their security and their internal security issues, because that's their lifeline. And that's why at that time, in 2008, the resistance was very serious, to the extent that they were willing to use violence. But they didn't. Yes, Israel with its NATO backers and US backers and their intelligence community, in Lebanon there are hundreds of intelligence agencies who are working day and night. So the resistance in Lebanon is not just fighting Israel, it's fighting all the scams. And so yes, this imperialist camp, of course, they have the ability to hit the resistance, with what happened in the Beirut explosives, an attempt by Israel to kill 5,000 Lebanese in 1 second. And yes, they have assassinated central leaders of Hezbollah, including Sayyid Hassan al-Nasrallah. But this has never been the way to begin the resistance, by assassinating its leaders. This never led to the weakening of the resistance. They have killed Ahmed Yassin, the founder of Hamas. Hamas getting stronger by the day. They have assassinated the General Secretary of Hezbollah, Abbas al-Musa, in 1992. Hezbollah got stronger. And now, with this experience, Hezbollah is going to be more strong and more sophisticated and learn from these lessons, because those who fight will definitely make mistakes, and those who fight will definitely face challenges. But of course, there are those who are just waiting for the resistance to be defeated. And of course, there are those opportunities who start to use Israel, victory over the security matters as if it's the end of Hezbollah. That happened, And then in less than 3 days, the resistance was able to work on its internal issues. Because a lot of people, when they speak about leaders, they think that there is some kind of leader that he is, do everything, and then when it's ill, things react. That's not the way it works. You know that. That never works, in any liberation movement. There is a leader, and with that leader, there are many other leaders. So yes, if Israel assassinates a leader, he will be replaced. There is nobody that is not replaceable. Nobody. In the revolution, everyone is replaceable. Everyone when faces a challenge, another leader steps in, and that leader will be doing the task of his brother who was murdered. So this is actually a normal thing for the resistance. But as I said, those the action that the media outlets are trying to portray as if this is the end of the resistance. Now, I wanted to make just final points. You have been hearing so much on many issues, and I don't want to, go into more issues. But I think that we are entering a new stage in our struggle. We are entering a qualitative stage and a turning point, and everyone is on the crossroads, including the Zionist, including U.S. present in this region. U.S. have 57 military camps in our Arab world. Why? They say that they are here because of the invitation of these Arab governments. So they're in Jordan because King Abdullah II gets a monthly allowance from them for having these bases in Jordan. They pay him in person. And France now have a military base in Jordan. And tomorrow you will see Germany having a military base in Jordan. Why all these military bases? This is a direct occupation and colonization of our Arab homeland. And therefore, you are not going to see the end of this resistance. You will see an expansion of the camp of resistance from Morocco to Jordan, and from Saudi Arabia to Oman. This is not going to be diminishing the camp of resistance. It's going to be the opposite. New forces will come out, new young generation will carry the tasks of the revolution, and we in Masar Badil should be part of this change and of this historical moment and historical stage, and we believe. And so we see that how Zionists are freaking out because, we say a slogan or we give a political position and they go after us. In Germany, as they did in Samidun, in Canada, in Belgium, in Holland, in Spain, in every place where we are present. There is cases against us by the government, not by the people, by the government, and incited by the Zionists. And in Canada, Charlotte Hicks, the international coordinator for Samidun, have been leading the efforts in our efforts, and in order to diminish our work, they arrested her and they banned her from participating in any event or any conference or even be present in any gathering. But Samidun doubled its members and its effectiveness after that happened, because that is a political assassination for a leader who has been present since day one until they banned her, and even after they banned her. You know, for those of you who know her, she's unstoppable. So, but the people, also the comrades, have stepped in. If that's correct in a very comfortable situation in the West, it should be also the ability of the resistance to do that here as well. My last point that I want to make is that Israel has failed in all of its declared objectives and the undeclared objectives against our people. They say that they want to defend their capital in Gaza, they fail. They say that they want to end the Palestinian resistance in Gaza, they fail. And the undeclared objectives of the Zionist enemy is to displace the Palestinian people from Gaza again and to push them outside of Gaza because, as we say, they want to ethnically cleanse Palestinians in Gaza, and they also fail. They fail on that. And the reason is because of this relationship between the armed resistance and its popular individual. It is the relationship between the skin and the blood in the body. If you scratch it, they bleed. And that's why it's important to strengthen our presence with our own popular cradle in Europe, because there is 1 million Palestinians today in Europe, and there are over 500,000 Palestinians in Latin America, and the same goes on North America. This is millions of Palestinians in where you are struggling, and it's important to also be engaged with their issues and their struggle. But as some of the comrades mentioned before me, and I just want to reaffirm that we are an international Arab-Palestinian organization and movement, led by Al-Karam, Al-Jurur, and our, of course, main leading organizations on it. But we need to expand and welcome others to be part of Masar Badil movement, and also to focus on other areas, particularly the Arab war. And I commend you for also discussing the important issues of Masar Badil present in the Arab and Muslim world. We have been engaged in dialogue with our brothers and sisters in Yemen, in Iraq, in even lately in India and Pakistan, and we also are engaged with our brothers and sisters who are from Sudan in Beirut, and trying to also struggle and see how they can, because what's happening in Sudan is also devastating. So, but at the same time, these dialogues, these meetings, are not just strengthening our position, it is also helping them in understanding many of the issues that they struggle with when they look at the scene in Europe, in North America, and South America. And we tell them it's not just about demonstrations, it's more than that, and that the correct message, in our view, is the view that could be very clear when it comes to the kind of enemy that we're fighting. If we don't know who we are fighting against, and we don't know who's our allies and friends, we are not going to go anywhere. We must be very clear about the enemy and about the allies. I think that I didn't tell you anything you don't know, but I just wanted to reaffirm this message from Beirut and also commend you and salute you for doing this, because it is really important to meet and to have dialogue, even if it's tough dialogue sometimes. It is important to have these dialogues and the different perspectives that Masar Badil
friends. Again, I want to commend and salute our leader and comrade, Khaldiya Abu Bakr, who's been doing represent us in tens and tens of events in the last year, and Karama has been essential in supporting our people in Gaza in terms of the alternative educational programs that they did, and also in providing clean water for our but also the political messenger who have been really putting out a political position that is very fresh and I would say radical too, and we like that. And of course, to every comrade in Samidun, from whether they're present there or they're not, as the leading organization of the Masar and the work particularly of the comrades who have been facing prosecution in Spain, Germany, Belgium, Canada, and elsewhere. Thank you very much for your time, and I salute and love each one of you, and we will continue the struggle. What's coming is good. Don't listen to those who try to push weak lines and weak political lines and make people question, the resistance. I'm not just saying this to lift your spirit. I'm saying this as information that the resistance is strong, united, and will be victorious. And remember this. Remember I said that we will be victorious. Thank you.
Muchas gracias a todas y todos. Nos queda poco tiempo, nos hubiese gustado disponer de más tiempo para ver si hay preguntas. Como veis, somos un movimiento joven, por Al-Yudur, por la juventud, pero también porque nuestro espíritu es joven, es renovador, porque llevamos pocos años, pero venimos con mucha fuerza. Lo que distingue a nuestro movimiento de otros no es nuestra cantidad de militantes, sino el posicionamiento y la línea política que traemos. Y por eso somos atacadas. Por eso somos atacadas en todos los países, que ya lo hemos contado muchas veces. Porque no quieren escuchar la verdad. Pero esa posición que nos llaman radicales, o una línea radical, esa línea está en consonancia con la voz de nuestro pueblo. Lo que estamos diciendo aquí, que a muchas, sobre todo en Europa occidental, le parece demasiado, en nuestros pueblos, tanto en la Palestina histórica, desde el río hasta el mar, como en los países de la región, eso es lo que pide la población, eso es lo que quiere nuestro pueblo. Y por eso creemos que estamos en el lado correcto de la historia, vamos por la ruta correcta, que es la ruta alternativa. Lo vamos a dejar aquí hoy. Mañana también tenemos una charla donde van a hablar las mujeres que luchan, las mujeres anticoloniales, anticolonialistas, que forman parte importante de la lucha de los pueblos, y luego por la tarde tenemos pues, un acto cultural. Os invitamos a acompañarnos mañana aquí mismo a partir de las 9:30, y el día 6 en la marcha, en la Mani por Palestina, en apoyo a la resistencia palestina, a las 12 desde Legazpi hasta el Reina Sofía, y el lunes a las 7 delante de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos. La lucha sigue, compañeras y compañeras, y cada cual puede luchar como puede y como quiere, pero lo importante es que estemos todas unidas y todas juntas, que juntas venceremos. Gracias.